I never believed in myths. I believed in science, water temperatures, migration patterns, coral bleaching, sonar tracking. I believed in things I could weigh, measure, and record. I didn't believe in mermaids, sea spirits, or legends that washed up from sailors' stories, that changed on a gray, windy morning in November. I still remember the feel of the air that day, cold, wet, but strangely quiet. One of those mornings where the sky feels heavy and the sea looks bruised, like it's hiding something. My name doesn't matter right now, and perhaps it never will. But I was a marine biologist based along the Pacific Northwest coastline, assigned to coastal research, animal rescue, and environmental monitoring. My work was calm, quiet, predictable. I woke early, checked the tide pools, logged data, sometimes helped injured seals or turtles tangled in plastic nets. That day, I wasn't searching for legends. I was just checking the coast after a storm. The wind had dragged debris across the sand, seaweed, crates, plastic bottles, pieces of fishing net, the usual heartbreak of the ocean. My boots left deep marks in the damp sand as I walked, scanning the shore, humming quietly under my breath. Then I saw it. Far ahead, near a cluster of driftwood and twisted kelp, something was trapped in a fishing net. At first, I assumed it was a dolphin, maybe a seal, or worst case, the remains of something that didn't survive the storm. I started walking faster. As I got closer, something felt wrong. It wasn't the shape of the body, it was too slender, too delicate. The hair was long, silver, wet, tangled. The skin wasn't thick like a sea creature, it was pale, almost translucent in places. There were human arms. My mind rejected it instantly. Maybe it was a mannequin or some movie prop washed up from a failed shoot. Maybe kids had dragged it here as a prank. My heart hammered in my chest, and I repeated in my head, "Not real. Not real." I took 2 more steps. Then it moved. Her back arched weakly, tail flinching against the ropes. And yes, it was a tail. A shimmering, emerald blue tail with scales that caught the gray morning light like wet glass, torn and bleeding where the fishing net cut into it. My mouth went dry. This isn't possible," I whispered. Her breathing was shallow, strained. Her lips moved, but no words came out. Only a weak sound, almost like a sigh, almost like speech. When I knelt beside her, my brain still clung to logic. Prosthetics, silicone, movie-grade effects. But her skin was warm. Her pulse was weak. The scales were cold and real under my fingers. Not glued on. Not artificial. She was alive. Hey, it's okay," I said instinctively, though I had no idea who I was talking to or what. I reached for the net and began cutting. She winced as the rope loosened around her tail. The skin under it was bruised, some scales missing. As I worked, her eyes opened. They were what changed everything. Sea green, not human, not animal. Alive, ancient. She blinked slowly, focusing on me. Scared, weak, and pleading. Then I heard it. A voice. Faint, trembling, but gentle. "Please, don't call humans." I froze. I looked around to check if someone was nearby, like maybe someone else spoke. And no, just me. I said, confused. "What did you say?" Her lips moved again. Slow, exhausted. "Please, don't call humans." Her voice, it wasn't normal. It flowed. Felt like water rolling over stones. Soft, haunting, too calm for someone in pain. And all I could think was, what do you mean, don't call humans? What am I? "I can help you," I whispered. "But I need to call someone. A rescue team. A marine wildlife unit." Her hand moved and grasped my wrist, weak but determined. Her skin felt real. "Please," she whispered again. "If they find me, I will never see the ocean again." That changed everything. I didn't call anyone. I didn't record anything. I didn't take pictures, which is crazy, I know. In a world obsessed with cameras, proof, viral videos, I didn't take out my phone. I just helped her. I lifted her, and she was real. Heavy but fragile. Breathing but exhausted. Bleeding but calm. I wrapped her in wet fabric to keep her skin from drying and carried her up the dunes, toward my van. My heart pounded the whole time. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She just trembled, clutching the fabric, eyes half closed, but watching everything, like someone who'd seen humans before, and learned to fear them. My house was only 5 minutes away, a small cabin overlooking the rocks, quiet, hidden, rarely visited. I laid her in my old saltwater emergency tub, meant for injured dolphins, filled it, added sea salt quickly, unsure if I was helping or making things worse. She winced at first, then slowly relaxed. Her tail floated gently. The bleeding slowed. She looked around the bathroom at the light fixture, the tiled walls, the mirror, with the same expression a child might give a spaceship. Curious, sad, a little afraid. I finally spoke. "What are you?" She didn't answer. Instead, she looked at me and asked, "What year is it?" I stared at her. She repeated, softly, carefully, "The year. Tell me." 2023. She closed her eyes, exhaling like she'd been holding onto that question for a long time. Over the next few hours, she slept, fitfully, breathing quietly, occasionally whispering words in a language I didn't know. It sounded like wind across water, like singing, but also like speaking, not human language. While she rested, I paced the hallway, heart racing with fear, awe, confusion. My logical brain kept screaming, "This can't be real." But every time I peeked into the room and saw her tail shimmer under the water, I knew logic had left the shore behind. Late afternoon, I walked into the room unsure if she'd even be conscious. She was awake, sitting up, arms resting on the tub's edge, tail floating softly. Her voice was faint but clearer. "You didn't call anyone?" "No," I said. "Why?" I sat down slowly, still unsure of my own answer. "Because I don't think they'd help you. I think they'd take you, study you, lock you up, not protect you." She nodded weakly. "That is what humans do." That sentence hurt. I wanted to defend humanity, but I couldn't, not truthfully. "Later," she said, "I will tell you my name, but you cannot say it the way I do." I nodded. She said it. It wasn't a name, not like Sarah, or Maya, or Luna. It sounded like water dripping into a cave pool, echoing, then fading. Soft, musical, impossible to write. So I called her Era. She didn't correct me. She wasn't magical. She wasn't beautiful in a Disney princess way. She was real, fragile, intelligent, wild. Her tail was powerful but injured. Her skin wasn't glowing, it was pale, patchy, bruised. Her hair was tangled and knotted with sand and seaweed. Her hands looked human, perfectly human. Her eyes weren't sparkly or animated. They were tired, knowing, ancient. She hadn't come from fantasy. She'd come from nature. And nature is beautiful but not perfect. Not everything. Never the full story. But she told me some things. There were others like her. They don't live in cities, kingdoms, or underwater castles. They live quiet, hidden, deep-sea caves, trenches, unseen currents. They used to be closer to humans a long time ago. They stopped when humans expanded, when ships became machines, when harpoons became guns, when curiosity became possession. "They don't want to understand us," she said. "They only want to keep us." That sentence never left me. But the world started noticing. 3 days passed. I fed her small marine fish and seaweed. She grew stronger. Sometimes she smiled. Sometimes she asked questions about phones, boats, satellites, machines that fly, lights that float on buildings at night. I realized something terrifying. She had seen humans before. She knew too much for someone completely hidden. Just not this human world. Not this modern world. On the fourth day, a fishing trawler reported strange sightings. On the fifth, local news stations mentioned rumors of a seal-like girl spotted near the coast. On the sixth, drone footage caught something in the water with a shimmering tail, too fast for a dolphin, too big for a fish. And on the seventh day, I saw a black SUV parked not far from my cabin. No logo, just watching. She noticed too. "It has begun," she whispered. "What has?" "Humans have started to believe again." My neighbor, Jim, a fisherman, knocked on my door. "You seen anything weird?" he asked. "Like what?" "Like a girl in the water. Long hair. Might be caught up in something." I forced a laugh. "You've been watching too much TikTok, Jim." He chuckled but didn't look convinced. Authorities started scanning the shoreline, not for debris, not for injured animals, for something they didn't want the world to see. Era grew weaker. The tub wasn't enough. She needed seawater. Her skin had started drying, cracking. She barely spoke. "If I don't return soon," she whispered, "I won't return at all." That sounded less like fear, more like truth. I asked her one last question. "Do humans scare you?" She looked at the door, the shadows moving outside. "They don't scare me," she said softly. "They worry me." I woke around 3 a.m. She wasn't sleeping. She was sitting upright, tail wrapped around her, watching the moon through the bathroom window. "You're leaving, aren't you?" I asked quietly. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked at me. "You will take me there." I nodded. Not because I fully understood, but because I didn't want to be one of the humans she feared. I prepared a large saltwater container, carefully carried it to the van, covered it, secured it. She let me lift her in, slow, gentle, like placing something that didn't belong to humans. The road to the shore was dim, empty, moonlit. At the beach, she spoke for the last time. "Thank you," she whispered, "for being silent." I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. She slipped into the water, slow, graceful, weightless, like she had been waiting her entire life to return. She didn't splash. She didn't sing. She just sank gently, disappearing into silence. The last thing I saw were her eyes, just below the surface, looking at me, not asking for anything, not afraid, only hoping I wouldn't let the world find her again. No one ever believed me. Maybe it's better that way. The SUV returned, asked questions, told me not to wander near restricted coastal areas. I said I was just a marine biologist. They left. But sometimes, when the tide is low and the clouds are silent, I think I hear a voice, soft, flowing, like water, saying, "Some things aren't meant to be discovered, only protected."